Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. Thank you for joining me. Today I thought I'd sit down and chat with you about my BK Beauty brush collection. I have several brushes that I've collected over the past couple of months to over a year. I've slowly expanded my collection of brushes. I started with a couple and then I continued to expand based off of my experience with the first few brushes that I ordered, the quality, the way it applies the makeup. And because BK Beauty is doing a 30% off site-wide sale for the holidays that ends on December 2nd, I thought it was a great time to share my thoughts, give you basically a brand review, show you some of these brushes, the ones that I used. I will show you some demos of the ones that I used for this look that I'm wearing today. You've seen a lot of BK Beauty brushes in my videos. If you've watched any of my tutorials, you've seen some of these before. So I am not new to the BK Beauty brand for brushes, and I think that I have a huge selection of brushes from this brand, and I've got a lot to say. I think it can be helpful if you're looking at purchasing brushes for yourself. Maybe you don't have brushes. Maybe you are starting a collection and you don't know where to start. Maybe you've browsed the site and you see so many brushes for eyes and face and you just don't know which ones are essentials. You have someone on your list, since it is the gift giving season, that you like to buy some brushes and you don't know which ones would be ideal. I'm hoping that this video will help guide you in the right direction, answer some of your questions if you had any, and just kind of give you my thoughts along the way of these brushes and what I have experienced using them over the course of months to over a year. Like I said, I've had these brushes, some of these are over a year old, and I have thoroughly enjoyed them. I feel like the quality is there. So I wanted to kind of share with you my collection and kind of go through the brushes, the sets, and kind of give you a sort of guide to where to start with this brand. So if that sounds good to you, then just continue watching. On the BK Beauty website, you will see a selection of brush sets. They are curated by the brand and put together. There's going to be some that have a mixture of face brushes and eye brushes, some just face and some just eyes. But you will also see a selection of individual face brushes and individual eye brushes that you can purchase based off of your own personal needs and what you're exactly looking for. I do think that I want to start this video off with the brush sets because I do think that that's where the best value lies, especially when you're buying higher end quality brushes. You want to look at the brush sets because you often get to save a little bit. But again, it goes back to that 30% off site-wide that's happening until December 2nd. I think it's even better. Not only do you get a good deal on a brush set, but you're also saving a discount on it as well. So I think that brush sets offer the best value. So I'm going to start off with the first one that I just happened to pick up out of my collection, and it's the ones with the black handle. These are the Nikki brush set. It's a pro artistry brush set. I actually did a video reviewing these. I bought these in September this year for my birthday as a gift to myself. I thought I wanted to try these brushes. Nikki is a professional makeup artist. And if anybody knows anything about brushes, tools, and beauty products, it's a professional makeup artist. They know the good stuff. And for her to come up with a brush set in collaboration with BK Beauty, I knew that it had to be something that I needed to try, and I knew it was going to be great. And they actually are really great performing brushes. I like the sleek black handle, which makes these brushes stand out in my collection overall, but it does stand out because the normal BK brushes have a more kind of burgundy reddish kind of handle to them, and then the Angie Hot and Flashy brushes, they have like a charcoal color. So they do stand out. The video that I did on this was trying to use these brushes for every step of my routine and see how much of my makeup I could actually get done with just one set. And I was able to do that. So if you haven't seen that video, I will link it because it goes into in detail about each specific brush in that set. I demo every single brush and I give you some ideas of what you could do with that brush that's not just for blush, for example, or just liner. There's other things that you can do with these brushes, and it's a full set. I'm just holding up three because I have everything just sort of laid out here in front of me. But it's a nice set of brushes. I think it's also a very great set to gift to someone that's a little bit more luxurious. It's something really special to get BK Beauty brushes in general, but to have a set and put a nice wrapper on it and put a bow on it and gift it to someone, I think it's really special, and it's very much appreciated by anyone who loves beauty products. Having a set of brushes can be a game changer. So I think that the Nikki brush sets are really great, and they are affordable for the price point that you're getting and the amount of brushes, the quality that goes into them, and then the versatility, being able to multitask. I do think that it makes that price point a lot more digestible. I've said this before, but I think that makeup brushes are something that is really good to invest in. We invest so much time in doing our makeup routine, and also time and money into the products themselves. And we want the tools that we use to be able to give us the most out of those products, to blend them out better, to give us those professional looking results. And I think that it requires having the right tool. It doesn't necessarily mean that you must spend $60 on one brush. You just need some really good quality brushes, some that are very well executed and made, and I think that that's what you're gonna get when you purchase from BK Beauty, especially like these Pro Artist brushes, the Nikki LaRose set. Another set of brushes from BK Beauty that I actually really love, and I use these all the time, and you may have noticed the gray kind of charcoal, oops, I'm dropping all these brushes, the gray charcoal handle. These are the Angie Hot and Flashy brush sets. You can buy them all individually, or you can get them in a set, as I did, and then you can also buy a more travel-friendly set with a case, which I think is great. Everything is going to be linked for you in the YouTube shopping. It's going to be like a little symbol that comes up at the bottom of the screen, and it takes you right to that product directly. So it's just easier to find it and shop it that way. So the brush set itself has some really great key pieces. But what makes this brush set different than the Nikki LaRose is the fact that this one from the Angie Hot and Flashy collab has more crease brushes in various different sizes. Of course, you have that typical A506 that you see in a lot of tutorials because it's that concealer brush that can really do a great job at applying and blending concealer. But those crease brushes, I did demo one today, and I will show you here in a moment. I used the A504 brush, which is a very tiny little crease brush to blend and buff out the dark eyeshadow that I use on my lower lashes today. And this is the perfect size. It's a miniature, more condensed size crease brush. So this set has different sizes for crease brushes. So I feel like it's great for applying. It's great for more precision. It's great for blending if you have smaller eyes, getting underneath the eyes. So I feel like the set gives you some really great brushes. Part of that set is also the A505, which is great for applying some shimmer, some glitter. You can even use this to apply corrector under the eyes. You could use this to apply a cream shadow if you wanted to, because it has that small, more dense shape to it, and the cut of it is more rounded, so it can fit right in the inner corner. You have a good eyeshadow brush, and then this is probably one of my most favorite brushes from the Angie Hot and Flashy set, and it's the A507. This is a great brush for applying blush. You can also use this, even though it's designed to be for blush, you can use this to set your face with powder. You can do translucent powder, setting powder, blotting. You can even do some contouring and use that smaller side of the shorter bristles versus the longer end, and get right in the hollows of the cheekbone. You can apply your blush. So I feel like you can do so many things with these brushes, and I feel like because of that, it makes the value just even better for me personally. I wanted to run through the brushes that I use. I use all of these brushes today. They are all BK Beauty brushes, of course, to do my makeup routine. So I'm going to start off with the first brush. This is the N17 brush. I use this to actually apply my primer today. When I did the video review on this, I actually really did enjoy this brush, and this was one of the ones that I almost bought individually because it does look different. If you see, one side has the kind of more of the natural colored bristles that is ideal for creams and liquids, and then when you turn it, you have the darker bristles that is great for your powder-based products, and it's all in one brush. So if you turn it, you can see how cool that looks. So I use this to blend in my primer, and it does a great job for primer. It does a great job for applying any sort of cream products, foundation, contour, liquid bronzer. It's great. The foundation brush is the 106. This one is a really nice size because I was able to actually blend my foundation in, get really nice coverage out of my foundation, and I use the back of my hand as a palette. So basically just kind of dipping the brush into the back of my hand and then just kind of buffing this product onto my face right over the primer. And this does a really good job, this 106 brush, at stretching out the foundation and using less product. And on the back of my hand, I still had foundation that I didn't even need. So you can see how this brush itself is really great at just blending and creating a more seamless, more skin-like effect, but still providing the coverage that I wanted from that foundation that I picked from my collection today. So that 106 is great. The next brush that I use is the N16 brush. This one is great for concealer. This one has some kind of very wispy, longer kind of bristles just kind of randomly coming out. And I feel like because of that, it helps give a more airbrushed look to the concealer under the eyes. And I can get right underneath the under eye, right around the lashes really well for a very well blended look. I can use this around the face. I can use this over the eyelids, as you will see in the demo. That's a really good brush for blending, and it's very seamless. And one of the things that I love the most about this is that there wasn't any streaks left behind when I was blending in the concealer under the eyes, or any of these brushes really. They don't leave streaks on the face, which is another impressive thing. But this brush itself, the N16, I think is really great for concealer. You can also use this for applying a primer on your lids, you can use it as well to put your contour specifically where you want it. Since it's a very small brush and contour goes in more strategic places anyways, that's a great idea to use this brush in a different form than just concealer. And then you can use brushes like the 108. I use that today, which is a kind of round, fluffy, almost like bullet style brush. To add some setting powder, I used a pressed powder today to go under the eyes. You can also use something like this to kind of press in the areas where you have larger pores if you have that concern like I do with some powder. You could just kind of press, use it midday to touch up, and just kind of hit the T-zone where the oil tends to produce the most, and you can go right on the nose. It's soft, it's getting the job done, but it gives a very airbrush, very professional look to the skin, so I do like that a lot. One of my favorite brushes that I love to use is the BK Beauty 111 brush, and I actually washed all of my brushes so that I can have them right here because I have a ton of them that need to be washed. And this is one of my favorites from BK Beauty. It's the 111. It's called the Dense Bronzer Brush. And this brush is actually really perfect for bronzer. I've used this for other things as well, like powder. I've used this with loose powder, setting powder, pressed powder, and it's great. But it's the one that I reach for the most when I'm doing my bronzer. It's just one of those brushes that kind of, as you see in the demo, it just perfectly blends and applies the product exactly where my bronzer should go. And it blends it very seamlessly, so that is a must-have. And then for blush, I use my 107 brush, which is kind of different than the 111. The 111 is shorter and more dense. They kind of look similar from a distance, but they're not. They're different, and the 107 that I'm using for blush today is just a little softer, a little bit more wispy feeling than the 111, so you can kind of blend your blush. You can even use this, again, for other things. So think outside the box. Just because you bought the 107 for blush doesn't mean that that's the only thing it could do for you. It could do so much more. And it's just about trying it in different ways and just taking some time to play and experiment. Just try that the next time you do your makeup and you'll be surprised of all the things that you can actually do with that. The other brushes that I use are more eye brushes, so I'm going to show you just quickly me using some of these brushes to create a look. The crease brush, the 202, is really great for applying product into the crease and blending it out. I use the 206 for applying some eyeshadow and prepping my lids as well today. And then to apply some product and blend on the lower lashes, I use the 207, which is kind of like a pencil brush, but it's a little bit shorter and not as narrow. It's a little bit fluffier. Most pencil brushes tend to be a little bit more pointy and just a little bit skinnier, but this one is a little shorter, a little stubbier, and more bristle, so it actually does blend underneath the eyes very well. And then I use another Nikki brush today, the N12, to apply some eyeshadow in my inner corner. I do have long nails. I've been letting my nails grow out, so therefore it's hard for me to get right in the innermost corner with eyeshadow or cream products. So I've been using my brushes a lot to help me get into those really small, hard to reach areas, and the N12 brush from BK Beauty and the Nikki Collection brush set was perfect for getting that glitter that I used today in the innermost corner and blending it very seamlessly into what I applied with my fingers onto the lid. And then one of the tiniest brushes that I've ever seen for eyeliner, it's an angled brush, is the 208. This brush I actually really do like using to do what I like to call, in my mind, an invisible liner, where I can get right at the root of my lashes with a gel liner and you don't even see that there's anything there. And the trick with that is that it makes your lash line look thicker and more full looking without an obvious line of gel liner or pencil liner or powder liner. And I also do like to use this with gel liner to tight line because it's so small that I can get right in there to kind of wiggle it right in between each lash and kind of fill in the gaps. And again, it's just creating the illusion of a thicker, fuller lash line. And I know it may be kind of hard to see that today because I do have glitter on the eyes, but when I do just that and just mascara for like a quick, I need to go run to the store, run to do groceries or something, do school runs or whatever, you can really see that effect a lot more because it's just mascara on the eye and it's not sort of taking away because I have glitter. I have something very sparkly and kind of like a chunky glitter on today. I was just playing around with some makeup today and I thought, you know what, why not go for the glitter? It's the holiday season, but this 208 is actually pretty fantastic for getting a very crisp, very sharp line. And then some other brushes I like to use, like the 108 and the N14, also from the Nikki brush set, to clean up any fallout. Today I did have some fallout with this sort of chunky glitter that I was using today, so I took the N14 brush and I just kind of whisked away any of the fallout that I had, and it just was able to remove that. And I typically do my eyes after concealer and complexion based products. So if I do have fallout, I will be using some type of brush, typically something small, but this one, the N14, is great for kind of going right underneath the eye. I also have used this to set my concealer and it's perfect for that. Same thing with the 108. The 108 is a little different than the N14. Excuse me, it's different. The 108 is longer and just a bit of a different style of brush. Similar in that sort of rounded shape, but they're different. So they do different things in my sort of personal routine. But that N14 was great for removing any fallout today. Another great brush that I love to use is the 204. It's a Smudge It. I use this in every single tutorial. If you've been watching my videos for some time, you have seen this brush in every single video. And you probably already know when I say that I'm working on the lower lashes, you probably already know in your mind what brush I'm gonna use. It's the 204. I actually have 2 of these because they're just really that great. So 2 of these 204 brushes. You don't need to. I just personally like having them because I think that it's the perfect size brush for applying really dark eyeshadow, really close to the root of the lash. And then I go in with something smaller to sort of blend that out. And I did that today with one of the brushes from the Angie Hot and Flashy brush set, which is the A504. So I first applied it with the 204 brush Smudge It and kind of got a really thick amount of product on and went from the outer corner to the inner corner. Then I took that A504 brush from Angie Hot and Flashy, which is that really tiny, tiny miniature crease brush, and blended that out with a matching shadow so that it kind of created a more kind of smoky, diffused look under the eyes. So I do like that. I think that these 2 brushes are perfect, especially this one, the A504. It's a great size for underneath the lower lashes where it's a little bit more precise that you want to be with application of eyeshadow, but that 204 is really one of those absolute must-haves for creating a smudgy look on the lower lashes. I also do like to use this brush to do liner on my top lashes with a powder. You could use this with like a cream or a gel type of eyeliner, but I typically use this with some powder and I just kind of smudge it really close to the root of the lash. Another thing I like to do with this is use a pencil liner or like a shadow stick really close to the lashes, and I kind of pull my skin just a little taut there, and then I just go in and kind of blend this out and smoke it out just to create a smoky look and sort of diffuse that line of eyeliner. And that's a great way to use that 204 brush. So now that I've talked you through the brush sets that I have and the ones that I use today, I wanted to kind of share with you some ideas and some brushes that I think are going to be great for creating a brush collection. So let's say you don't have any brushes, or you have a couple and you just want to expand. You've taken a look at the website and you see all these brushes for face, different face steps, and you wonder, do I need them all? Or what are the absolute essentials? What are the must-haves to give me a full look and that I can use for every step of my routine? So we're going to start in 2 different categories. The first one is going to be more complexion brushes, and then we'll get into the brushes that I think are great for creating an eye look. So let's start off with the brushes that I think are must-haves for your base complexion products. Let's start with some foundation brushes. I have 2 options for you. Both are different style brushes. So the very first one is the 101. It's a very classic, viral, often sold out type of brush. It's a little bit larger in size than the second one that I'm going to show you. It is also angled. And this one, because it is larger, covers a larger area of your face and it gets the job done very, very quickly. So you can really do your foundation in just a few seconds, kind of blend it in and just kind of get a very seamless look to the skin. And it literally, like that, it's done. But you can also use this 101 brush for different things. So think outside the box, like I said earlier. It's not just a brush for foundation, but this is great. If I use this brush, it's typically just for foundation. It is very densely packed, but the cut of it is absolutely perfect. It goes from short all the way to long with that bit of an angle you can see there. And again, I've had this brush for over a year. It has not shed on me, not once, and when I wash it, it goes right back to its shape as you see here. The second one, which is the other one in my hand, is the 106. It's the one that I demoed today. This one is a little bit different, so the bristles are a little longer than the shorter ends, obviously, but about the same length as the tallest side of the 101. But this one is rounded, and it has a kind of just a round circle shape, but the bristles are kind of rounded. It's slightly kind of cut and tapered on the side, so it's really great for blending in foundation as I did today. So it just depends. Do you want something a little bit smaller or you want something a little larger depending on your needs? So it's the 101 and the 106 for foundation. For concealer, I would suggest the N16 brush, which is from the Nikki set. That one is the one that has those kind of wispy brushes that you will see the little fibers kind of sticking out a little bit. versus the other ones that are a little bit shorter and more compact. Those kind of wispy ones gives you that airbrush look. So again, like I did today in the demo, I kind of blended my concealer and got a more airbrush look. So the N16 is the one that I would suggest for applying your cream concealers. For bronzer, I have to hand it to the 111 brush. It's the dense bronzer brush. I love this one. Again, this is one of the brushes that I started my collection with. So this brush is way over a year old in my collection, and I just absolutely adore this. So the 111 for bronzer is a must. For blush, you have two different options. I would suggest the A507, which is part of the Angie Hot and Flashy collaboration, which again, you can purchase in a set or individually. So the A507 is perfect for that blush moment. It applies and blends beautifully, no issues, and it gets the blush exactly where you want it. But if you wanted something a little smaller, a little bit softer, more wispy in the actual bristles, then the 112 is for you. This one is just, again, has that same sort of angle as you see a lot of blush brushes, but it's very wispy and it feels very soft and just kind of more airy than the other brush that I just showed you. So that one is gonna just be smaller. So you do have to work a little bit more than with this brush that covers, you see, a larger area versus something a lot smaller. So again, personal preference there, what you want. But you can also use this one. This is the 112 for your contour products if you contour. But for blush, you can use this. It just takes a little bit more work to blend and go in sort of this general zone right here of the face. So for blush, the A507 or the 112. So let's talk about some eye brushes. The essential brushes, if you look at their website, they have lots of different options to choose from. They're all really great. But what do you really need? So I want to give you some ideas of essentials that I think are needed to create a really good eye look. Starting off with eyeshadow, the 203 is a great shadow size brush to apply and pack on eyeshadow. You can densely pack the shadow on to sort of build it. You can do a light layer for like a wash of color. So that 203 is a great size and shape for eyeshadow. For crease, I always reach for the 212. I think it's a perfect size, the nice rounded shape to it to get into the crease right in there where you want your product. And it blends very seamlessly as well. I like to use this brush for my transition color, for some darker shades, for smoky type shades on the outer V as well, or for darkening up the crease. The 212 is perfect for that. And I also had the A503 in my hand, and I will show you what the difference is between those two. So you can see there, they are different, and I do think that they serve a different purpose. You can use both of them, of course, to apply in your crease and transition, and also to blend. But I like to have multiples for crease because sometimes you just need to have a couple different options. So I do think it's essential to have two different styles. One is a little bit shorter and a little bit more like densely packed the bristles, and then the A503 is just longer and a little bit more wispy, and it comes to a more of a point a little bit, not too much, but you can kind of see the difference in person. It's just a little bit different and fluffier, so I feel like you can add with one and then help blend and diffuse with the other. So that's why I have two for the crease. For lower lashes, I have to mention that 204, the Smudge It brush. I use this every single day. That's why I have two of them. This is perfect for under the eyes and also for liner, so that's really great. And then to blend that out or to do some more precise work like the outer V, you could go for one of these brushes. So the 207 is a really short kind of pencil style brush that you can also use underneath the eye to blend out. So if you take the 204 Smudge It and you apply a lot of dark powder and you want to diffuse and blend, you need something kind of like a pencil brush. So that's where the 207 comes into play. You just go right underneath and you just blend that out with ease. But if you have something similar to the 207, then I would suggest the A504 from the Angie Hot and Flashy collection. It's that tiny miniature crease brush that I demoed earlier today in the video. It's perfect for getting right underneath that dark eyeshadow and blending and softening the edge of that. But what I like about these brushes, the Angie A504 and then the 207, is that you can also use them right on this outer V to get some dark definition right out here and keep that darkness really concentrated to this outermost edge of the eye. So I think it's perfect for that step and also under the eyes. But if you wanted something really, really small, maybe smaller than those two, I would suggest the 210. So the 210 is a lot smaller. Let me show you the 207 and 210 so you can see the difference. 207 and 210, right? Yes. 207 and then 210 here. I gotta get my numbers right. So there is the difference between those two. So you can see the 210 is the smallest one, and it's shorter and more densely packed the bristles, so it's a little bit different that you could use for under the eyes, and you can also use that for again, the outer V work, lashes, so you can do a little bit with the 210 versus something like this, this one, the actual 207, I get these numbers mixed up. The 207 is mostly for blending, not necessarily for eyeliner. So if you wanted to do a bonus step, I would say the 210 is the best option. And then of course that 208, if you like to do that sort of sneaky liner where no one's gonna know you have liner on, that one is your best friend for disguising the liner, blending falsies into your natural lashes. You could even use this for brows. It is rather small, but you could get the job done. It will take you a little longer, but it can be done if you only had one brush. If you're traveling and you forgot your brow brush, you could use this. So there is lots that you could do with the 208. So let's say that you have some brushes and you already love and use BK Beauty brushes and you want to add and kind of expand on that and you want some kind of fun brushes, some little extras, and you're like, Lexi, what do I choose? Because I don't want to just blindly buy a bunch of different brushes. So here's some extra little additions that you can expand your collection with BK Beauty brushes that you could do so much with. The N17, as I talked about earlier, is the one that has the dual fiber bristles. It's different, it's unique. There's not a lot of brushes on the market that look like this. This one I think is quite fun and one of those little extras that you can throw in because you could do liquids and creams with this, which is great, and not have to worry about getting your bristles all messed up if you use a brush for liquids and creams and all the bristles get stuck together because the cream products are gathered in there and you want to use it for powder, but then you're just like, I don't think I can do that. Well, you can with the N17 brush. You have one side for your creams and your liquids, and then boom, on the opposite side, just flip that brush over and you've got the bristles for the powder products. I use this today for primer. But like I said before, I have used this for multiple different things. I've used it for my bronzer, my contour, primer, obviously like you saw today, concealer. If you, let's say you're traveling and you forgot your concealer brush, boom, just use this. Kind of pat that in, use your finger to kind of blend right up in the lashes, done. It's simple. But it's also quite fun and different to be able to have one brush to do both liquids and creams all in the same go, and you don't have to have multiple brushes, or if you're traveling now that we're in that holiday season and we're gonna take trips and stuff like that, condensing down the brushes that you take is ideal, especially during this time of the year, and the N17 can do that for you. Let's say you're someone that likes to contour and you do this every single day. I personally don't use contour products every day, which is why I didn't show this brush specifically in my routine today, because again, I don't do this every day. I do it every now and again when I want a full glam or when I want to do something just different and I have a little extra playtime with my makeup routine. And I think, why not? This is the brush that I often reach for that. It's the 109. So you may be asking yourself, how similar is this to that larger 101 brush? They're actually quite similar. The 109 is kind of like the baby version of the 101. They're both similar, but they do different things in my routine personally. So the 109 I think is perfect for contouring. Because of that angle, you can really get right in that hollow right there, which is where you want your contour. You can get that product right in there and blend out those powder contour products or your creams, liquid contour. But you can also use this for bronzer as well. If you wanted to use cream-based products or powder-based products, you can certainly do that. I like larger brushes for my powder bronzer just because I want to get it done quickly and just kind of move on with the process. I don't have a lot of time to sit down and play with makeup for hours and hours. I wish I did, but I don't. So this is something that I reach for only when I'm doing contour or maybe for like blush, like a liquid blush kind of moment. This is great. It's the 109. This next one, since we're on the topic of blush, the 107 that I demoed today is, I think, a great one for applying your blush. I like how soft and airy and wispy this feels, but it's incredibly soft, these brushes, all of them. I use this today to apply my blush and just kind of blend right over the tops of the cheekbone, over the nose. You already saw the demo. It's just one of those brushes that I think is kind of fun. It's a little different than having, let's say, just an angled brush. If I had just this, I would want like a different style and a different cut of bristles for blush, just to give me some options. So if I have the A507, or if you're buying this and you want to expand and later on add to your collection, the 107 I think is great for blush. This next one, the N14, I think is really great to have if you use a lot of like glitter eyeshadow or very metallic shadows and you tend to see that you have fallout issues. This is a great brush to sort of sweep this away like I did today. It's also a nice size to do some contour because of the shape of it. Boom, you can get right into the hollows of the cheek, apply that contour product, kind of buff and blend upwards, and keep that product right where you need the contour, which again is the hollows of the cheekbones. So that N14 can do that, and you can also use this to set under the eyes. So it's a brush that can do more than just one thing. So this would be one of those fun kind of extras that I would throw in if you want to expand what you already own. And lastly, the 205 is a really nice brush. It's very different and unique to most of my eyeshadow brushes. In fact, I think this is the only one that I can see out of my clean brushes. Now, I may have some that are dirty that are kind of similar to this. It's an angle sort of cut to it. I will show you what that looks like there. So you can see the angle cut to that. It's a great brush. You can use it to pack on the lid, but it's great to hold it with the longer side towards the outer part of the eye to create kind of like a more angled shape with your crease colors, to kind of turn it on its side and sweep right in here in this motion like this, where you can actually blend in your sort of crease eyeshadows. And again, like I said, you could also use this to pack on. And honestly, if I was in a pinch or if I was traveling and I forgot some other brushes and I was just only with this, I could use this. You could pinch it with your fingers and get right underneath and blend if you had to. But this one I think is very unique in my collection. And again, one of the brushes that I had in my dirty bin of brushes that I finally washed, and I'm going to start using this again. It's the 205 because it's just that right angle and it fits right in that kind of natural crease right in there. And it's just a great brush to apply. And again, one of those little extras that you could throw in. So I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that I was able to help guide you in the right direction, answer some questions that you may have had on this brand. All the brushes that I talked about in today's video, I purchased myself. None of this was sent to me. This is not a sponsored video. I literally have paid for all of these brushes. And no, I didn't buy them overnight. I have slowly sort of started with a few and then continued to expand because these brushes are really great. They've kind of outperformed some of my other brushes. I have spent a ridiculous amount on brushes. I own so many of them. One brush, like I've got some Hourglass brushes and they're expensive. I think one was like 50 bucks. I have an IT Cosmetics brush that I think was like $50 or $55 just for one brush. And I find myself reaching for BK Beauty more often than anything else. One thing that I've noticed is that I keep reaching for these brushes, and that's just because it's a great brush. The craftsmanship is there, the performance is there. And honestly, I am nowhere near a professional makeup artist. And I feel like when I use these brushes, I can tell such a difference with the way my makeup looks, how everything blends, how everything applies. Of course, the formulas and the products themselves are way big into that, of course. But the tools that you use make a huge difference. And I do think that they are great investment pieces. And it's not something that you have to do and buy all the things all at once. Just kind of figure out what you need. Look at your collection and see what you feel like you're missing, what you can expand on. Maybe those extras that I talked about earlier. But I feel like these brushes have really changed the game. The way my makeup looks right now and how I do my makeup in this state, in this season of my life versus, let's say, a couple years before I discovered BK Beauty, it's a night and day difference. I don't know what took me so long to finally go for it and purchase the brushes, but I'm telling you, I'm so happy I did. I'm happy I invested the brushes because I know these will last me a long time and they will perform beautifully just as it did from day one. They will years down the road. So I hope that I was able to help you, kind of give you some ideas, and maybe you'll take some time to check it out and let me know your thoughts. If you have BK Beauty brushes, what are your favorite brushes? Share with me your feedback on this video. What have you tried from BK Beauty? Are you getting some of these brushes? Is it on your Christmas list for this year? Thanks for watching, you guys, and spending some time with me today. It means so much that you've been here. If you've watched to the end, I've been here for a long time. It's hot in here with these lights, this camera filming equipment. It's getting hot in here. I've been in here for quite some time filming and doing some demos. If you've been here through the whole video, thank you so much for being here, for just kind of hanging out with me. Subscribe for more videos like this in the future. I post every Tuesday and every Friday. You can also follow me on Instagram. I do post there periodically. That's kind of where you'll find out when a video goes live. My username usually pops up somewhere on the screen, and I hope to connect with you there. Take care, you guys, and I'll catch you very soon. Bye-bye.